Hello, welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And our mom.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. We are continuing on our fall 2024 season with another new show, and this one is
Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
yes. I'm very excited to for us to speak about the show. Obviously, it's a brand new show, and Mom, before we get into this, what do we know about the show?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know somewhere in the midst of all this, young Sheldon fits. That is all I know.
yeah, that's about all I know as well. I know it is a sequel to Young Sheldon, which itself is a prequel of The Big Bang Theory, but that's about it. As you, if you've been following along on the channel, you can see that we spoke about the first episode, Young Sheldon, and that's all we've seen of the whole Big Bang Theory universe prior to this.
Yes, we didn't make it past the first episode. Not because of lack of we didn't like it. It's just that we have not made it past that episode yet. But anyway, so I'm going to give you just a little synopsis of just the series in general. Well, just based upon the first episode, anyway. It appears as though Georgie and Mandy live with her parents along with their baby, who is almost a year old. Georgie and Mandy are young; they're young parents to begin with, and so they're living with her parents. And in the first episode, they decide to move out because Mandy does not feel respected by her mother. And the series does take place in the 90s, or at least that's from what I can gather from this right now. And that is really the first episode in a nutshell, Brandon.
Well, Mom, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so to the best of my knowledge, this first season will have 13 episodes. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that this episode gave a pretty good idea, I guess, as to what we should expect for this new series.
Yeah, it did. I did learn a few things. Do you want me to go ahead and talk about that, Brandon?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, here's some things I think I learned from the first episode. And I have to write these down. We learned that Georgie did not finish high school and that he has an 11th grade education. We learned that Georgie is working for Mandy's father. We know that Mandy appears older, or at least the illusion that we believe is that Mandy is older than Georgie. That both sets of grandparents are active in the baby's life. We kind of gather that. We know that Mandy has a brother. We know that Georgie has a brother and a sister. We know that Georgie's father, from what we're gathering, has passed away, and it sounds like fairly recently, and that he appreciates the hugs that he receives from others because he says that on a regular basis. We know that Mandy's mom questions the intelligence of Georgie. And then, in essence, Mandy and her mother have an interesting relationship. And then Mandy's mother also wonders about the baby and the development of the baby. But I don't know if that was just like a first episode thing or what. So that is what we were able to figure out from the first episode. Did I leave anything out, Brandon?
Not to my knowledge. Oh, and that they want independence.
Oh, yeah, they want independence, but they can't quite afford independence.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I mean, going through this, especially in relation to some of the things that may have happened in that timeline between, of course, the first episode of Young Sheldon that we saw just a few weeks ago, and yeah, up to now, especially in regards to Georgie's life, that of course, we would have known.
Yeah, yeah, we're not quite. Yeah, we're kind of confused, and so, like I said, all we know is just a little bit we picked up from Young Sheldon, and so we do remember Georgie and his character on Young Sheldon.
Yeah, and I will say though that even though we're not familiar with the overall franchise per se, that I do think that we were able to gather just enough from this first episode alone, though, for this series.
Yeah, we were.
But yeah, and I did want to mention as well that that oftentimes for these new shows that we have some sort of initiating event.
Yeah, we do, and in this one, the initiating of it actually already occurred to me. So it kind of starts in the middle of the initiating event, in which case it is that they do have a baby and the baby is close to a year old, and the fact that they have moved in with Mandy's parents. That, in essence, is the initiating event. Even though they move out, is only for just a moment, and they come right back.
Yeah, so maybe I guess their search for independence or for a new understanding between I guess the four or five of them.
Yeah, it seems like that. But it does seem like Mandy's father is very supportive of everything that they're doing.
Yeah, I'll say that for me, he is probably the standout character. Yeah, to me in my personal thought for the series thus far.
Yeah, he does seem like the character that will stand out in the series.
Now, the character that for me that I don't know much about is Mandy's brother.
Yeah, he's just introduced, so we don't learn a lot about him. We know that he likes music, and he does sounds like he's composing music, but that's about all that we know about Mandy's brother, or at least for me, that's what we picked up.
Yeah, and the way that they're characterizing him, I mean, at least thus far, we've only seen a single scene with him. Feels a lot like how they characterize Sheldon in the first episode of Young Sheldon. I don't know if that's just the first episode thing, or if that's to have like a little comparison there, or if that's just pure coincidence. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. All right, Brandon, do you think you'll continue watching the series?
I think so. I mean, the show thus far feels very quirky in a good way. I know we love a good quirky sitcom, and I feel like there's a lot of room to grow with it, especially in regards to, the escapades of growing up, but then also with family nearby. I mean, it's a sort of concept that we've seen before, but I don't know. I'd like to see what a modern version of that would look like.
Yeah, I think it can grow as well. I also like that they showed Georgie's mother in here, and actually Georgie's grandmother, and so that gives a couple more characters that they're able to play off of. So hopefully they'll continue to be regulars.
I hope so too. And yes, and as a spin-off series, I always feel like these first episodes or so usually tie into the originating series in some sense or another. And so in this case, we do have Georgie's mother and Meemaw. So it was nice to see them, although I will say I love the comedy that they had in it because Meemaw was telling the mom, it's just like they would rather be here than with you.
Yeah, yes, and so yeah, I really can't wait to see how this show develops.
And mom, would you continue watching?
Oh yes, I will continue watching.
Yeah, and I did want to ask, what were your thoughts about the little sort of title sequence, so to speak?
At the beginning, I don't remember it, Brandon. Remind me about the title sequence.
Yeah, it was them like doing like a little tango dance in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I was happy to see they had some sort of a theme song. It was an odd theme song, but I mean, I was happy to see that they did have a theme song. Whether or not it's memorable or not, ask me that at the end. But well, you see, I didn't remember it. So yeah, I'm just happy that they did have a theme song.
Yeah, and I did actually want to mention too, now that I remember, other than of course it has the same co-creators, Young Sheldon, Chuck Lorre. I did want to mention that we did have another connection.
Oh, what is that?
So at the very beginning, we saw a little clip of Frasier, the original.
We did, and that was actually refreshing to hear, to actually see that. It kind of, for me, it kind of marked time a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it sort of set us right into the theme when this generally took place, so maybe like 90s or maybe at the latest early 2000s. I think 90s though. But I like what they were saying about it being a laughing sitcom.
Yeah, I really like the way they mentioned that also, and the fact that this sitcom is a laughing sitcom too.
Yeah, and I like how they poked fun of it, throughout the whole episode, especially bookending it, and it's just like, well, now you know when to laugh. I mean, for other shows, how do you know it's funny?
Yeah, they made a point. So yes, yes.
But yeah, but mom, as we've been doing for all of these new shows and shows that have come back in the during this fall season. What are you most looking forward to in this season?
In the season for this show or just in general?
In this season for this show, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
All right. Well, like I kind of mentioned before, I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of the characters. I think it'll be kind of fun to watch. I like to see the interactions that they have with their daughter. I like the interaction that they kind of have with the parents. I mean, I think that they have built a foundation for this show where it can grow further, and that they do have the ability to kind of develop the show.
Yeah, I definitely am very excited to see how the parents are integrated as well. And for me, I'd also like to hear how the first marriage part comes to be in the title.
Yeah, I would too. I really like to hear about their journey that they did have, because that is left out also. So we don't know what their journey was.
Yeah, we truly know nothing, but I'm excited for us to continue watching it every week during this fall season.
I am too, Brandon. I am too. And we'd love to hear. Should we actually look at the Big Bang Theory? If let us know in the comments. Is that one that we need to actually look at the first episode? Will that help us out?
Yeah, and should we continue watching Young Sheldon? Let us know.
Yep. Please let us know. All right. Thank you guys for joining us today.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.